إذا الأمجاد قد عظمت فللأمجاد بانيها ومن يسعى إلى العليا.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The Quran is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is impossible to interpret it perfectly, as the knowledge is too vast and requires every minute of our lives to cover. I will try to keep it as brief as possible. To get the deep understanding of the Quran, please study the main Tafseer kitabs such as the complete and original Tafseer Ibn Kathir, Tafseer Qurtubi, and the modern Tafseer such as Ma'arif al-Quran by Mufti Muhammad Sahib rahmatullahi alayh, and Ma'arif al-Quran by Maulana Idris Kanduli rahmatullahi alayh. Let us start the first juz. The first juz comprises of the whole of Surah Fatiha, as well as the portion of Surah Al-Baqarah. There is consensus amongst the ulama that Surah Fatiha was revealed in Makkah. Despite it being concise, the primary aim of this noble book has been briefly mentioned here. That is why it has been called the Quran or Asasul Quran, meaning the foundation of the whole Quran. This surah holds the status of being the introduction as well as the summary of the whole Quran. The basic themes of the Quran are three: Tawheed, Risala, and Qiyamah. Oneness of Allah, the prophethood of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the day of Qiyamah. In the first two verses of this surah, as well as the fourth verse, the concept of Tawheed has been mentioned. Qiyamah has been mentioned in the third verse. In the fifth and sixth verses, there is an indication towards Risala. The names and qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also been mentioned in this surah. The command has been given to worship Him alone, seek help from Him alone, and to make dua for forgiveness, guidance and steadfastness, etc. only to Him. On the one side, there is mention of the Anbiya alayhimus salam and the Sulaha, the pious. On the other side, we are instructed to stay away from the ways and behavior of those nations who became worthy of Allah's punishment and anger due to their ilmi and amali, meaning theoretical and practical deviation. This claim can be made without fear of refutation that Surah Fatiha is a unique dua, a priceless treasury of ma'rifah, meaning recognition of Allah, and the clear mirror of the Quranic knowledge, through which we can, in a short span of time, get a glimpse of the rest of the 113 surahs of the Quran. Perhaps for us to get this glimpse over and over again, every person has been commanded to recite it in every rakat of their salah. Thereafter, we start Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah is the longest surah of the whole Quran. It comprises of 285 verses. Most of the Surah Al-Baqarah was revealed in the initial period immediately after migration to Medina Munawwara. The word Baqarah in Arabic means cow. This surah has been called Surah Baqarah because the word Baqarah is mentioned in this surah, and the incident of the cow being slaughtered is also mentioned. Basically what happened was, a wealthy person from amongst Bani Israel was killed by his nephew with the intention of receiving inheritance money. Then, in the darkness of the night, he placed the corpse at the door of someone's house. He then claimed that this person had killed his uncle. The families of the claimant and defendant came close to taking up arms against each other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded them, through Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, to slaughter a cow and to place a portion of the meat on the body of the murdered person. By doing so, the murdered person would come back to life, sit up and point out his murderer. During that particular time, it so happened that there was also one group from amongst the Bani Israel that was denying life after death. By this murdered person coming alive, not only would the murderer be pointed out, but proof for the life after death would also be proved. Besides this, due to living a long life with the Egyptians, the love and respect of the cow had become embedded in the hearts of the Bani Israel. In commanding them to slaughter a cow, there was a refutation of this belief, as well as degradation of this act of worship of theirs. Besides this incident, the following important subjects are also discussed in the first juz. Number 1. In the beginning of the surah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's everlasting miracle, i.e. the Quran, has been mentioned. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was blessed with other perceivable and apparent miracles, but his greatest miracle was this ilmi, i.e. intellectual one, meaning the Quran. The surah commences with the huruf muqatta'at, meaning alif, lam, mim. Beginning in this manner was uncommon to the Arabs. By using this method, their attention was drawn towards it, and they were then compelled to listen to it with attention. Whichever surah of the Quranic Karim commences with the huruf al-muqatta'at, thereafter mention is also made of the grandeur, truthfulness, miraculousness, and veracity of the Quranic Karim. Due to this, it is the opinion of the majority of the ulama, the scholars, that these letters were brought to challenge those who claim that the Quran was a human effort. That if the Quran Karim is the made-up speech of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you too can also make up such speech from these letters, which you use day and night. You people have great pride over your eloquence, oratory skills, and command of the language, due to which you call other people ajam, meaning dumb. However, history bears witness that the disbelievers of the past could not accept the challenge, nor is there anyone to accept it today, and none will accept it until Qiyamah. Point number 2. People are of 3 types: mu'mineen, believers; kafir, disbelievers; munafiq, and hypocrites. The outstanding qualities of the believers are 5. Iman bil ghaib, meaning believing in those realities which cannot be comprehended by the senses: Jannah, Jahannam, resurrection, reckoning, recompense, etc., etc. Number 2, Iqamat Salah, establishing of prayer. To continuously perform Salah, bearing in mind its conditions and etiquettes. Number 3, discharging of Zakat. Generally in the Quran, Salah and Zakah are mentioned together, since Salah is the right of Allah Ta'ala and Zakah is the right of people. A person's Iman cannot be complete as long as he or she does not fulfill both types of rights. Number 4, believing in all the heavenly scriptures which were revealed to the messengers in different eras. Number 5, to affirm belief in the hereafter in such a manner that no trace or doubt should occur. The point to be mentioned here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the people of Iman in 4 verses, the disbelievers in 2 verses, and the hypocrites in 13 verses. In these 13 verses, 12 qualities of the hypocrites have been mentioned. It is compulsory for Muslims to keep away and protect themselves from these evil qualities. These signs and qualities are mentioned here and there: lies, deceit, unmindfulness, spiritual sickness, meaning jealousy, pride, greed, etc. Hatching evil plots against others, foolishness, mocking the commands of Allah Ta'ala, spreading corruption and mischief on earth, ignorance, deviation, doubt, making a mockery of the believers, etc., etc. Point number 3, the incident of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam and Sayyida Hawa radiyallahu anha, which took place with the accursed Iblis. In reality, this incident is a reflection of the whole of mankind as well as this world from the beginning of time till the end. This incident points to the eternal conflict between the truth and falsehood, good and evil. It shows the high rank of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. He was granted viceroy khilafat on earth and was granted such knowledge that was not even granted to the angels. The angels were commanded to prostrate, meaning do sajda before him. Due to attaining this rank of khilafat, the children of Adam ﷺ have been ordained to implement the commands of Allah Ta'ala on earth and run the system of the world as Allah Ta'ala desires. Point number 4. The Bani Israel have been mentioned in numerous places in the Quranic. However, the most detailed discussion concerning them is found in Surah Al-Baqarah. Nearly the entire first juz makes mention of them. The first thing mentioned is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed them with countless favors, both outward and inward, worldly and deeni, meaning religious. Example, many Anbiya alayhimus salam, meaning many prophets, were born amongst them. They had been given material prosperity. They had been favored with the bounty of Iman and the belief of Tawheed, monotheism. They were freed from the oppression of Fir'aun. They migrated from Egypt under the leadership of Musa alayhi salam. When Fir'aun pursued them, a path was made in the ocean for them. In front of their eyes, their oppressor together with his army were drowned. When they were without provisions in the Sinai desert, manna, meaning sweetmeats, and salwa, quails, was granted as sustenance, and provision of cool clouds were made for shade. And when searching for water to drink, 12 streams of water gushed out from a stone. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that they did not appreciate these bounties. Gradually, they became involved in the sickness of ingratitude. Thus, they concealed the truth, denied the nubuwwat of the seal of the Anbiya alayhi salam, meaning our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, made a calf their deity, outwardly displayed impatience, greed, and in the Sinai desert entered the city of Ariha in a proud manner, whereas they had been commanded to enter with humility. They killed the Anbiya unjustly, time and time again broke their covenants. Their hearts have become hard. They interpolated both the worlds and meaning of the books of Allah Ta'ala. They believed in some commands of the Sharia and rejected others. They became afflicted with the sickness of the heart and jealousy. They became afflicted with the sickness of hatred and jealousy. Their love for this material world reached the highest levels. They made apparent their dislike of high-ranking angels. They had shown a deep interest for black magic and soothsaying. Such amaliyat, meaning charms, had gained general acceptance amongst them, by means of which they would cause separation between husband and wife, thus opening the way for illicit love affairs. And in spite of all their evil actions, they still claim that they were the sole owners of Jannah. And with great conviction they would say that only the Jews will enter Jannah. This was also the claim of the Christians. Together with this, both these groups claimed that they only were the true, and opposition had no proof. In the ayat, وقالت اليهود ليست النصارى على شيء وقالت النصارى ليست اليهود على شيء وهم يتلون الكتاب. Both of them claim that they were in the truth. We should ponder and take lesson. Are there these evils not prevalent amongst us Muslims as well? After mentioning in great detail the favors bestowed to the Jews, their ingratitude and their sins, mention is also made of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, whose high status was accepted by both Jews and the Christians. And both groups would proudly affiliate themselves with him. Whereas, if they were true in their claim, then they would definitely follow our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The reason for this is that Sayyidina Ibrahim ﷺ was given many tests and he was successful in every one of them. Whether it was in showing his displeasure to his father's idol worship, clashing with his people, debating with Namrud, being thrown into the fire, migrating from his homeland, leaving his wife and child in a desolate valley, or fulfilling the command to slaughter his most beloved son with his own hand. At every juncture, the friend of Allah, Ibrahim ﷺ, remained steadfast and did not falter in the slightest. Due to the blessings of this steadfastness, his du'as were accepted. Makkah became a land of safety. The sustenance of fruit was made easily available for its inhabitants, and the greatest dua accepted was that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was born in the progeny of the Quraysh. After mentioning the praises and excellence of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah Ta'ala states that only that person who is unfortunate, foolish and the slave of his desires turns away from Millat Ibrahim, meaning the path of Ibrahim alayhi salam. This was precisely the condition of the Jews and Christians, that they attributed themselves to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam, but they had the false notion that success did not lie in following the Hanafiyyat, meaning the straight path of Islam, but rather it lied in following Christianity and Judaism. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam to invite them towards Hanafiyyat, meaning the religion of Islam, which was the religion of all the Anbiya. If they accepted his call, then they would be rightly guided. If they did not accept it, then their denial and deviation would not be because of any proof, but due to the obstinacy and stubbornness. Then they should be left in the filth of their stubbornness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of them. Allah ta'ala says, if they believe, i.e. Jews and Christians, as you, meaning the Sahaba, if they believe like you do, then they will be rightly guided. If they turn away, meaning then do not be surprised, because stubbornness is their habit. If they try to cause trouble and mischief, then Allah Ta'ala is sufficient for them. Allah Ta'ala is all-seeing, all-knowing. This concludes this chapter.